Okay, Everton have sacked Rafa Benitez after just 7 months in charge, 22 games in all competitions, only 7 wins, a win percentage of just over 31%, his lowest win percentage as a Premier League manager. His win percentage at Newcastle was higher. He had over 42%, 10 percentage points more than his time at Everton. His season-long spell at Chelsea was the highest win percentage at over 58%. His time at Liverpool obviously was the Champions League in there, which obviously helps with his reputation. Again, well over 50%, 56%. So something has gone horribly wrong here at Everton. And I honestly believe if the Amanda Staveley takeover bid had occurred back in 2017, early 2018, he would still be Newcastle manager all these years later. He would have had the investment, had the backing, and I honestly believe the club would have taken that next step under Rafa Benitez. I do honestly believe he would still be Newcastle manager now with the takeover had it gone ahead then, not just now. So you have to look at his time at Newcastle and go, he actually overachieved with the players he had. Solid mid-table side, just couldn't take that next step, needed that investment. Everton, they've given him the money to spend. Much like the managers before him, like Ancelotti, Martinez, Koeman. They've all been given money to spend. And for whatever reason, it hasn't panned out. It's just not working. Since David Moyes has left, I'm mentoring some of those managers, plus others, there has been 7 managerial appointments since 2013. So since David Moyes' departure, 7 managerial appointments in 8.5 years. Nearly 9 years. That's no stability. That's even more unstable than Chelsea. Chelsea have had a lot of managers, but they tend to last 2 to 3 seasons, on average now. The length of time for a Chelsea manager has got longer. Now, Benitez was unfortunately one of those managers that didn't have a long spell in charge of Chelsea in the Abramovich era, but he won silverware there. What has happened at Everton is a chronic instability in the dugout. And the problems are deeper than that because the director of football's been sacked this season as well. There's issues with where the money's been spent. The players they're bringing in not necessarily gelling with the team. The players they're letting go clearly, in my opinion, are more crucial to the team than the team realise at the time they're selling them on and their importance to the team. The whole thing just has no direction. A lot of poor transfer decisions in players coming in and players going out. Chopping and changing the manager. That's a waste of money because you've got to keep paying these compensation payments to managers when they're sacked. God knows what Benitez is going to get in his payout. I feel sorry for Benitez, but at the same time, I think it was wrong club, wrong manager. It just didn't fit, much like Nuno at Spurs. Obviously, they weren't planning on losing Ancelotti when they did, but Ancelotti going to Real Madrid, he wasn't sacked. Madrid came on along with an offer. He'd worked at that club before, so knows that club structures very, very well and how they operate. And clearly, for whatever reason, if Ancelotti was seriously happy at Everton and was happy with the direction, I think he would have stayed for the length of his contract and stuck it out. So clearly there are issues within the structures of the club behind the scenes that we as fans don't see. Now, I'm not an Everton fan, but I'm a sports fan. Of course, I'm wearing my Premier League beanie. My old school Premier League beanie, because this is a Premier League story. Who Everton get in? There are 3 names that are already screaming out according to press reports. That's Wayne Rooney at Derby, former player. And he's got a task on at Derby, and I think he's doing a very good job at Derby, considering the points deductions, the turmoil off the field, the issues with the club ownership. He's doing a very good job, and he could still get them out of trouble. I believe he has the ability of what he's coaching, his win percentage. He's got a very good win percentage there, even with the points deductions. He can get them out of trouble. With the clubs around him just free-falling as they are, I think he could get Derby out of trouble. A managerial change now could prove disastrous to Derby's survival hopes, but he's high on the list. Graham Potter at Brighton, look at the job he's done. But I think he's happy at Brighton. I don't think he wants to leave a reasonably, stable, reasonably successful team with their league finish position getting better and better each season. They're stable, they've got a direction, they've got a philosophy, they play attractive football, they're easy on the eye. He seems happy there. The players are buying into what he wants them to do. They're taking that next step and they are progressing. But he's been touted for every single managerial vacancy in the Premiership and the Championship this season. So Graham Potter's name gets thrown in there. I don't think he leaves Brighton. I don't think Brighton want to lose him. I don't think he wants to leave. And then former manager Roberto Martinez, who was sacked by this very same board. But at the same time, there are people within the structures of ownership and the board side of things that still have a soft spot for Roberto Martinez. So there's division within the board about the Benitez sacking. I think there was divisions within the board about his appointment and his sacking, and also going back as far as Roberto Martinez before he took the Belgium job. The thing is, Roberto Martinez, he's been out of club management for a long time now, and while this World Cup may be his last tournament with Belgium, he's been out of club football for so long. He has to deal with players who play at clubs all over Europe, with the national setup with Belgium. And he's been linked with a lot of vacancies when they've appeared. There's not a lot of other managers out there available right now to take on the reins of this club in a relegation fight, unless you want Steve Bruce or Big Sam to come back and get you out of the relegation fight. Because defensively they are a shambles. There's no debate. There's no debate on that. And the effort and energy levels and the organisation just clearly isn't there. I'm not sure Everton fans would be keen on rehiring Big Sam or having Steve Bruce in. It's like Bruce replacing Benitez. It's like Newcastle over again, except with misplaced investment rather than the lack of it. There you go. I feel sorry for managers like Steve Bruce and Big Sam who get shoehorned into that stereotypical lower league English manager, long ball football, boring kind of pragmatic style. But maybe that's what Everton need just to get through this season. The issue is Man United are in the market for a manager in the off season. So they might be looking at Wayne Rooney, for example, or Graham Potter to take over the reins from Ranić when he stands down in the summer. So they're already in competition with a league rival and a local rival in Man United for any vacant manager. They've given up on Ancelotti by allowing him to go to Real Madrid. They sacked Martinez when things got a bit tough. Ronald Koeman was there for a while. It didn't work out with him. The replacement for Koeman for Martinez was a shambles in that period with Unsworth and Sam Allardyce. It just was a mess back in 2018. Fast forward 4 years, it's a mess still. And nothing seems to have worked. The decisions they have made have not worked. It doesn't matter who is the manager, it's just not working. They have had a lot of managerial changes, more so than Chelsea, which tells you all you need to know about the managerial stability of this club. And they have spent a lot of money in the transfer market. And losing Digne to a league rival in Villa, that's got to be a blow. That's a massive blow. Mikalenko, I believe, is the new Ukrainian they've just signed. He's only had one game at the club. It didn't go very well against Norwich. They've just made a couple of signings under Benitez. So now, mid-transfer window, you're looking for a manager during a time when you need to be assessing, okay, we need to strengthen these areas, we're weak in this area, we might be a bit short of depth in this area. Midway through the transfer window, you've just sacked a manager. I don't understand that. Because a manager's got to come in, or an interim manager's got to come in, midway through a transfer window, and fix the problems that this squad has, while making sure that they don't get any worse, stabilising the position, getting them out of trouble. But I say this, clubs that change manager when they're in a relegation fight tend to either get relegated the following season or relegated the season in which they sack the manager. So all the clubs in the bottom 4 or 5, apart from Burnley, have changed their manager this season. So the clubs below them, bar one, have all had managerial changes. Now, if Everton survive this season, if the chaos and the lack of direction continues, they could be in a relegation fight next season. Same with Newcastle, unless they make a significant turn in form. The results are getting a bit better, they're getting more draws, they're not getting battered. But unless they make a significant turn, they could go down. And Everton are in the same situation. It just takes Watford or Norwich, Burnley to have their games in hand, win their games in hand, and suddenly the situation is more precarious and they're without a manager, whereas the clubs around them have either made the managerial change or are sticking with the manager, such as Bielsa at Leeds or Sean Dyche at Burnley, to stick them through this sticky period till the end of the season, and then they'll make a decision. But I tell you now, Everton are in serious trouble. Serious trouble. And unless results improve with a new voice on the bench, we could see Everton possibly getting relegated this season, which has never happened before. They've been in relegation fights before, but they've never been relegated from the Premier League. But that could be a very distinct possibility with the way this team's form has deserted them and the disorganisation on the field and off the field. Who they get to replace Benitez, anyone's guess. But remember, United are still looking for a permanent replacement. And again, the same names: Martinez, Pochettino, Potter, Wayne Rooney constantly come up in conversation, and Man United are in the market for a manager themselves. So Everton may find it difficult to get the appointment they want, considering that Man United are also in discussions about a future manager in the summer. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.